The sun was not up yet when the quiet inside that luxury LA mansion cracked open. Blue lights bounced around the windows, and a confused teenager held a phone near the curtains while distant engines rumbled across the street. The recording caught a shaky whisper saying, "U.S. Marshals got my house surrounded, gang. What's going on?" Nobody watching that clip knew the whole story yet. Nobody understood how that scene came to be, shaped by choices made thousands of miles away. That moment was only the latest spark from a long trail that started in Chicago's low end before it drifted into the Hollywood Hills. A trail shaped by setups, fear, robbery, and a family stretched past every normal breaking point. Chicago shaped the Bartlett family long before anyone knew the name Polo G, since their roots reached into Marshall Field Garden Apartments, a place near Cabrini Green that carried a reputation for relentless turmoil where danger moved through the courtyards daily. Kids there grew up fast, and young Taurus Bartlett Jr. absorbed harsh sights long before he had the language to describe them, watching neighbors panic after shootings and noticing how adults walk cautiously through the hallways. Those early moments settled into his mind, forming emotional calluses that later shaped his music. His father, also named Taurus, was already known in that area through the Mickey Cobras, which meant the family absorbed survival culture early since the streets demanded sharp awareness, quick reactions, plus steady nerves. Chicago in the mid-'80s through the '90s raised entire generations on tension, while the Bartlett children lived inside that pressure, attempting to navigate sidewalks that often felt hostile. Their mother, Stacia Mack, tried to keep everything balanced, managing work, discipline, and encouragement, yet the environment remained rough, so the kids learned to adapt quickly. When Chicago started demolishing public housing during major redevelopment waves, families from the near north side scattered across the city. At the same time, the Bartletts eventually relocated to the south side's low end, around 43rd Street plus St. Lawrence. That move shifted everything for the household, since they had to learn new blocks, unfamiliar politics, plus emerging threats. Still, this neighborhood also revealed different paths, where Polo discovered something that quietly sparked imagination. School gave him space to breathe, while writing offered mental escape, since poetry assignments turned into notes filled with rhythm, emotion, plus detail. As other kids battled typical teenage noise, Polo stayed locked into books, verses, plus classwork, attempting to find order inside a world rarely offering peace. Those moments quietly planted seeds for the style he later carried into Chicago rap. His younger brother, Taurian, responded differently to life in the low-end environment. Teachers quickly noticed he struggled to remain calm inside classrooms, while principals documented repeated suspensions involving fights, disrespect, confrontations, plus hallway incidents. He shifted from school to school, carrying a reputation for instability, while classmates whispered that conflict always followed closely behind him. That restless nature separated him from his siblings, as adults often described a kid carrying a heavy storm inside. Where Polo found comfort through creativity, Taurian leaned toward chaotic energy, chasing thrills in confrontations and heated moments. Those early years revealed a pattern hinting toward a future shaped by difficult choices, while family members sensed this child walked a sharper road, guided by impulse rather than introspection. Chicago's trenches molded him differently, and those habits soon grew deeper. As Polo matured, he gravitated toward music with quiet seriousness, studying lyrics from Chicago artists while building his own cadence through poems plus journal pages. He practiced writing daily, shaping verses about trauma, fear, loyalty, plus dreams, using words as a shield against the city's noise. He watched friends fall victim to gunfire or incarceration, so recording songs became a method for staying grounded. That discipline helped sharpen his voice long before stepping into any studio. Chicago's violence did not slow during those years, so Polo worked tirelessly to dodge trouble while focusing on craft, remaining disciplined at home while learning studio techniques from older artists. Every day spent outside carried risk, which strengthened his determination and pushed him to refine his sound until neighborhood listeners recognized its potential. His lane slowly emerged from consistency, showing how creativity could rise inside places built on struggle. Tarian's path pulled in the opposite direction, while the streets gave him a nickname reflecting that transformation. Kids around the neighborhood started calling him Trench Baby, a name mirroring the environment he embraced since he wore trenches like identity rather than memory. He strengthened that persona through behavior, getting into arguments at school, clashing with teachers, plus showing growing comfort with instability. By his early teens, he displayed signs of a young hothead, stepping into neighborhood scuffles, ignoring warnings from adults, plus brushing aside consequences following each situation. His reputation grew among local teenagers who described him as unpredictable, quick-tempered, plus unwilling to back down from conflict. That attitude separated him further from Polo, who relied on quiet focus to chart a safer route forward. The split between the brothers became clearer each year as one leaned inward to express his pain through music, while the other leaned outward to release his emotions through aggression. Their home witnessed two different worlds forming under one roof, and the tension between those worlds increased as Polo's success began to rise. When he started gaining traction in Chicago's rap scene, attention toward the family expanded, and that spotlight magnified everything around him. Polo faced constant pressure to protect his career as fame arrived suddenly, while Trench Baby found new audiences for his behavior, which fed into his street identity. Neighbors noticed that the younger brother walked with more confidence, showing signs of someone who believed trouble proved something about strength. Meanwhile, Polo attempted to guide him, but the gap between their mindsets kept widening. These early years shaped the foundation for everything that followed, creating two paths that would eventually collide with national headlines. Viewers could already see how Chicago's trenches carved out a different story for each brother, and that contrast set the tone for the chaos that awaited later in Los Angeles. Polo achieved real success from 2018 through 2019, which pushed him into a different space out west, where he bought a Los Angeles mansion in Chatsworth for nearly $4.9 million. That house felt massive compared to Chicago spots, while California sunlight introduced the family to a new rhythm after years around brutal blocks. Trench Baby stepped into that environment with wide eyes, moving through rooms filled with bright chandeliers, plus long hallways that made him feel untouchable. He had never witnessed luxury arranged like that before, so he jumped into that world without hesitation. Studio sessions became routine for Polo, while expensive cars filled the driveway weekly, with black trucks, sports coupes, plus rental whips pulling in at all hours. Trench Baby gained direct access to everything inside that property, including jewelry cases, massive walk-in closets, plus rooms stacked with high-end clothes. He moved through that lifestyle as if every door belonged to him, surrounding himself with fast company drawn to wild energy. The Hollywood scene delivered temptation quickly, while young dudes pushed him towards circles built for chaos. His impulses intensified around that freedom as he started posting videos, flashing stacks, gripping weapons, plus mocking threats from online commenters. His image grew louder with every month spent in the valley, while his behavior turned increasingly reckless. He enjoyed walking through malls wearing heavy chains, then filming himself inside dark studios late at night with friends, hyping his attitude. That lifestyle transformed restlessness into something more complicated to manage, causing whispers that Polo's younger brother was losing control. Rumors spread across Los Angeles about the Chicago kid acting wild far from home, while conversations in the valley mentioned his name more frequently. People talked about his temper, aggression, plus unpredictable reactions when faced with minor problems. It became clear that mischief had evolved into mayhem, since his presence inside that mansion created tension for everyone involved. That early shift set the stage for darker schemes ahead as Los Angeles watched Trench Baby drift toward trouble beyond childish antics. The scheme began quietly during the early months, as Trench Baby studied how the entertainment world operated. He noticed many young creators chase connections, searching for any link that could pull them into music circles. He learned individuals often trusted messages from people tied to famous artists, so he built plans around that hunger for opportunity. His approach felt simple, prompting him to send messages from official-looking accounts, offering access to Polo G for potential work. He contacted videographers across Los Angeles, claiming Polo wanted new content, which sounded convincing given Polo's rising status. He also reached producers seeking placements, then contacted streamers hoping for collaborations. He reached out to small rappers, believing invitations like this could upgrade entire careers overnight. Each person reacted with excitement, while many agreed to meet quickly, thinking the chance to work with Polo was real. His instructions usually directed them toward the Chatsworth mansion, using short lines like, "Pull up to the mansion, Polo wants to work." That message carried authority, causing victims to drive across the valley without hesitation, expecting a routine business exchange. They arrived at the gated home, believing everything was legitimate, then walked inside expecting a studio, camera space, or creative session. Trench Baby greeted some calmly, acting friendly enough to keep them comfortable while equipment came out or phones were checked for instructions. He shifted tone once the door closed, revealing weapons that erased any remaining sense of safety. Victims faced pistols or rifles, while Trench Baby demanded money transfers, cash, passwords, plus every valuable item carried. He forced one videographer to wire savings from a phone while shaking uncontrollably as the man watched his bank account drain under Trench Baby's stare. Producers reported losing expensive equipment, while streamers reported losing electronics plus jewelry during those encounters. Many felt humiliation alongside fear, choosing silence out of intimidation rather than risking further danger. Victims described confusion since they believed careers were growing that day, yet ended up traumatized inside a mansion tied to Chicago prominence. Those experiences spread quietly as whispers moved through creative networks across Los Angeles about a young Chicago kid lining victims using Polo G's name. The emotional impact varied among victims, while several felt embarrassed after trusting someone perceived as a gatekeeper. Others stayed silent to avoid retaliation from someone who clearly thrived on confrontation. That silence allowed the scheme to continue longer than expected. As the Valley noted, Trench Baby enjoyed the thrill of robberies. His actions carved a path destined to collapse, while early setups revealed how deeply he enjoyed manipulating opportunity within the industry. The robberies multiplied gradually across Los Angeles, with each incident adding weight to Trench Baby's growing reputation among local creatives. People whispered that young workers in the music world kept getting lined up since every account sounded unsettlingly familiar. The pattern felt consistent, while individuals visiting the Chatsworth mansion sometimes departed carrying fear rather than opportunity. Industry insiders began discussing those robberies within private circles, claiming they had heard stories about the little brother for nearly a year. Managers and producers compared studio sessions and observed that several victims felt too embarrassed to file reports. Meanwhile, Twitch streamers posted cryptic online messages, prompting followers to suspect something serious occurred behind closed doors. Content creators described receiving strange invitations, with some retreating entirely after others disappeared from social platforms for days. Rumors drifted through Discord servers and Instagram group chats about a Chicago teenager suddenly accessing large sums of cash plus jewelry. Some victims reported losing cameras worth thousands, while others described computers taken during tense moments inside the mansion. More than one person recalled missing watches or personal belongings, while a few admitted losing tens of thousands through forced transfers. Quiet fears surrounding his name intensified steadily, prompting warnings to newcomers who received unexpected messages linked to the Bartlett family. By then, caution replaced excitement, while inbox messages felt heavier, colder, almost transactional in tone. Veterans quietly shared warnings during late-night calls, emphasizing patience, verification, plus distance over curiosity. Every unanswered text carried tension, every invitation demanded scrutiny, since opportunity now arrived wrapped in unease rather than promise for observers watching carefully from afar. Trench Baby fueled those rumors through his online presence, posting clips of himself holding weapons while laughing openly. He flashed stacks of money in dark rooms, moving through Los Angeles while telling friends no one would ever check him. He enjoyed the attention those videos generated, speaking as if risk added thrill to daily life. His behavior appeared bold to viewers, while supporters loudly hyped his antics in comment sections. That lifestyle appeared funded by robbery, while he embraced the image without attempting discretion or restraint. Such behavior placed Polo G in a difficult position, since many outsiders assumed the superstar played a role. People online publicly questioned Polo, with some implying he supported the setups through silence or access. Those assumptions damaged his reputation within certain spaces, leaving fans wondering whether the family dynamic had unraveled entirely. Polo handled the situation quietly and avoided discussing any details that had circulated about his brother. He loved Trench Baby, but he understood that public association carried serious consequences during that chaotic stretch. He kept his distance at times and focused on his craft, hoping the storm would eventually clear. His silence reflected conflict inside him, and loved ones noticed how stressed he looked during that period. The robbery pattern continued until law enforcement finally stepped in with heavy force. The mansion scene from the intro returned on August 23, 2023, when Los Angeles police plus United States Marshals surrounded Polo G's Chatsworth residence at 5 that morning. Multiple SWAT trucks lined the private road outside the property, while bright lights flooded the driveway like a staged movie set. Armored officers stacked tightly against the front entrance, preparing to breach the home after receiving final approval for the operation. Inside the mansion, confusion spread rapidly as family members woke to booming commands echoing from outside. Trench Baby recorded the moment on his phone, whispering in disbelief as officers issued instructions over loudspeakers. The atmosphere shifted instantly once tactical teams moved through doorways, since Trench Baby recognized the chaos he sparked across Los Angeles had finally reached its limit. Officers handcuffed him near the entryway, where earlier confidence drained away as he absorbed the scales surrounding him. During the sweep, officers located several firearms inside the mansion, including an illegal short-barreled rifle, violating state regulations. Polo G was detained temporarily following the discovery, while later reports revealed the weapon played a central role in his arrest. Officers searched every room methodically, collecting items tied to an expanding investigation involving armed robbery allegations linked to Trench Baby. Neighbors watched silently from behind gates, sensing consequences finally arrived, heavy, unavoidable, and far beyond online bravado. Neighbors from the gated community watched from their balconies, staring at flashing sirens bouncing across million-dollar homes. Some residents filmed clips from afar, showing officers walking around the property in heavy gear. Word spread through local networks immediately, and gossip outlets received messages before sunrise. Los Angeles news stations soon aired footage of Polo and Trench Baby being escorted out of the property in handcuffs. Images from that morning surfaced across major hip-hop blogs plus social media feeds, prompting viewers to react. The unexpected scene sparked disbelief as audiences saw Polo G detained outside his own mansion, fueling speculation. Much of the discussion centered on possible links between the rapper himself plus his brother's actions. Reporters later clarified that investigators viewed Trench Baby as the raid's primary focus, a belief shared. Hours after the SWAT raid, the situation twisted again when Burbank officers waited outside the station, grabbing Trench Baby as he stepped out. He barely tasted freedom before detectives placed him in cuffs again, leaving onlookers stunned by the sudden reversal. Believing the worst had passed, he watched another group of officers guide him toward a different vehicle, their expressions noticeably colder. That moment marked a sharper level of danger, with genuine shock finally visible across his face during the chaos. Investigators soon revealed an April 2023 incident that few people had discussed publicly, one that reshaped perceptions quickly. Reports claimed Trench Baby used threats plus force inside a Burbank location earlier that spring. Detectives accused him of holding an individual against their will while demanding valuables, outlining details pointing toward violent intimidation. Witnesses described panic-filled attempts to escape, with allegations involving weapons, verbal pressure, plus physical aggression throughout the encounter. Police stacked charges tied to that case, while prosecutors labeled the incident kidnapping alongside assault with a deadly weapon. Robbery counts followed after officials reviewed statements plus timelines, surprising nearly everyone watching unfold. Those charges carried heavy consequences under California law, with filings suggesting investigators believed their evidence met prosecution standards. Court documents worsened his position, while defense attorneys recognized the seriousness without further explanation. Polo G was also briefly detained due to being present during that April situation, and officers held him until they reviewed his connection. Reports said he cooperated fully, and he was released after determining his involvement did not meet the level required for further custody. Even with that clarity, his name still appeared in headlines tied to serious accusations swirling around his brother. Fans watching the story realized a pattern forming through arrests. Sensing these events began long before. Los Angeles police stormed the mansion, a moment viewers later re-examined closely afterward. Detectives referenced older timelines, hinting that ongoing investigations stretched back several months earlier. The public initially assumed Trench Baby acted recklessly only during the recent summer, yet the April case exposed far deeper chaos. Viewers then understood this spiral extended across large sections of 2023, while investigators saw someone steadily escalating risks. Tension grew as the truth surfaced, with everyone realizing the story held another layer still waiting to be revealed. The most serious development arrived when investigators connected Trench Baby to a June 10, 2023 shooting in North Hollywood. That night, a quiet parking lot near Vineland Avenue turned into a crime scene around 1:30 in the morning. Officers responded quickly after residents reported gunfire, and they discovered a young man lying near a parked vehicle with multiple wounds. Paramedics attempted assistance, yet Deshaun 757 Lil Robbery was pronounced dead at the location before transport. The victim's identity stunned many Chicago residents who tracked Los Angeles relocations, while the case drew attention because of Berry's background. He belonged to a Chicago group tied to the 757 movement, plus he had known conflicts with various Southside circles. People discussed how Chicagoans often relocated westward in search of calm, yet unresolved disputes sometimes followed closely behind. Viewers sensed that street history influenced this encounter long before anyone set foot in California. Theories circulated suggesting the killing involved older rivalries stretching back toward neighborhoods near South Cottage Grove and nearby blocks. Some online posts hinted at tension between figures linked to Brick City or similar cliques, while whispers traveled across Chicago-focused blogs. These conversations framed the shooting as deliberate rather than random, describing hostility extending across state lines. Detectives studied surveillance, digital records, plus communication logs from the days surrounding the shooting. They reviewed cell tower activity, social media exchanges, plus travel patterns documented through phone movements. Anonymous tips claimed that people noticed a dark vehicle leaving the parking lot after shots rang out, while witnesses mentioned a possible Chicago link. Investigators believed certain evidence pointed toward Trench Baby's direction, while they assembled a case quietly as months passed. The public learned about that connection only after the SWAT raid faded, while by November 2023, prosecutors officially announced a murder charge. That announcement stunned fans who had been tracking earlier robberies, leaving many struggling to grasp how events had escalated so far. Reporters explained that prosecutors believed shots were fired from a moving vehicle during the North Hollywood incident. That detail shifted the narrative instantly, placing Trench Baby in the path of life-altering legal danger. His lawyer, Bradford Cohen, denied every murder allegation, arguing that physical evidence failed to support the charge. He stated that no murder weapons surfaced during searches, while phone data placed his client away from the shooting. He emphasized that 0 eyewitnesses identified Trench Baby near the scene, noting the absence of gunshot residue within available reports. Those claims formed the backbone of the defense, with supporters repeating similar arguments online. Courts initially granted bail set at $2 million, with his team moving quickly to secure his release. Shortly after payment cleared, prosecutors requested a bail reversal, which judges approved, citing safety concerns. That reversal signaled mounting pressure from investigators, informing the family that prosecutors intended to pursue the murder case aggressively. The refusal to maintain bail suggested the state believed the situation presented an extreme risk. The gravity of these developments weighed heavily on everyone watching, and individuals who once viewed Trench Baby as a reckless teenager realized the allegations now described something far more severe. He no longer faced accusations centered around setups, threats, or robberies. Prosecutors now painted him as a participant in a deadly shooting that involved interstate tension and long histories of conflict. The shift created shock among supporters and critics, and the case gained national attention from media outlets covering Chicago and Los Angeles culture. This murder charge changed the direction of his entire story and framed him as someone operating within violent street patterns that crossed into different regions. Viewers now understood that his downfall reached much deeper than the flashy robberies that first gained traction. The North Hollywood killing sat at the center of a storm that threatened his entire future, and the consequences surrounding that case lingered as the most complicated part of his legal battles. The The story shifted into heavier territory when tension inside the Bartlett family erupted during Easter week at Stacia Mack's Georgia home. The atmosphere inside that house felt unstable that evening, while arguments quickly escalated into violent movement throughout the narrow hallways. Neighbors later said they heard screams, while relatives described Leilani moving between rooms, overturning furniture, and damaging property during the confrontation. Panic seized the space as voices climbed, while emotions swung sharply between anger and fear. Stacia tried holding her ground, eventually reaching for a handgun after feeling overwhelmed by the chaos surrounding her. She stepped outside, firing warning shots into the darkness while shouting threats echoing across the yard. Cameras captured those moments clearly, with footage spreading online within hours of the incident. That clip stunned viewers, leaving many struggling to process a mother firing bullets while yelling at her daughter during a crisis. Leaked audio surfaced later that summer, featuring Stacia describing another instance in which she fired at Trench Baby during a conflict. She said she pulled the trigger amid a heated situation, sounding drained throughout that admission. Listener detected frustration within her voice, realizing years of strain had shaped that household. Long-standing pressure from Chicago's trenches, non-stop turmoil tied to Trench Baby, plus relentless public attention pushed the family toward collapse. Polo stood between these conflicts, yet his attempts to calm situations failed repeatedly despite his genuine effort. He loved everyone involved, though he could not restrain spiraling tempers surrounding him. His position carried emotional weight, leaving him grappling with guilt even when events were beyond his control. The family appeared shattered during that stretch, while the experience exposed scars that fame never healed. Trench Baby remains inside the Los Angeles County Jail today, awaiting trial for murder, kidnapping, robbery, plus assault, with each charge threatening to shape the rest of his life. Court hearings move slowly as lawyers argue over timelines, data, and witness accounts. His situation remains severe, with prosecutors showing zero indication of easing pressure. The stakes surrounding his future rise with every courtroom update. Polo G continues working through instability, maintaining his music career while carrying a heavy emotional strain. Interviews reveal a blend of frustration plus loyalty, with him describing his relationship with his brother as complicated. He said, "We don't always agree, but that's my blood," revealing conflict between love and heartbreak. His fan base watched him navigate those emotions while trying to protect both his image and his family. Stacia reduced her public presence following those incidents, focusing instead on managing damage behind closed doors. She rarely addressed the drama after the shootings, stepping back from online platforms to create distance from chaos. Supporters sensed she carried deep guilt stemming from being thrust into overwhelming family pressure. The deeper truth behind this story is that fame cannot heal wounds formed in the early years in Chicago's trenches. Success offered Polo an escape, yet the same lights magnified every crack in the family. The childhood turmoil, street culture, and emotional instability shaped paths long before wealth entered the picture. Trench Baby followed a road carved through conflict, and that direction stayed with him through Los Angeles. The story ends with a question many viewers ask quietly. Who would Trench Baby have become if he had followed Polo's direction instead of the direction the trenches gave him? The answer remains unclear, and his future will depend on decisions made inside courtrooms far from the streets that raised him.